personally think this minisode is pretty nuts. Which is why we're kicking things off with the first minisode of Bluey, called Burger Dog. It's actually very funny. Like, I actually think think it's a very good minisode, despite the fact that sometimes the way Bandit likes to mess with his kids, it's just wow. Like, I would not have expected this for the first minisode. Because considering that these things are amazing, which is why I'm placing this one in A tier. Bingo 3000. I really didn't think that this would be a robot episode. Considering that this is actually pretty amazing. I mean, look at that. You can see by the title card, it's actually supposed to be pretty hilarious. As it's just going boop all the time, every time I'm with the legs. Like, that's just ridiculously funny. I personally think that one is what makes me laugh. Like, I actually kind of enjoy this one. And considering that this is actually going to be quite an amazing minisode for you guys to watch, and if you haven't, please watch that. Check out the minisode on Disney Plus. This because it is amazing to watch. Like, let's put this one in A tier too. Muffin unboxing. I feel like, good grief. Good grief, I actually like this minisode, considering it's actually pretty funny. Like, it's actually not what I expected, but it's still pretty amazing, considering that this minisode seemed to be, as many fans have pointed out, that it's very hypocritical of the show, considering they don't really show the voice actors for the kids. But rather the grown-ups, which I wonder. But I feel like it's supposed to be a reference to Ryan's video YouTube channel, and not to mention that on one of my channels, which I will actually be able to tell you which one it was in the video, is actually where I do unboxing videos myself, which are pretty inspired fun. Well, which is why it's S tier. Letter. I feel like that this minisode is just wow. Like, it actually shows that Bandit is in fact not very good at spelling, but it actually shows a lot of things about his family, like how he had a bird named Conan, in which he fed every day. Eh, how he admires both of his brothers, Stripe and Radley, and that his father Bob was good, but shouts at Rad whenever Rad played a footy match. Not to mention the fact that he admires his mother, which I think is pretty sweet, as I admire mine. Actually, I admire my whole family. But the fact that Bandit does not enjoy his mother's cooking is just wow, what the heck is wrong with you, dude? It's like, I would not have expected this for you. Like, I actually think this is pretty funny. Yeah, but not in the same as the others, which is why it's C tier. Hungry. Now that's a minisode I have never been able to expect before, or considering that some minisodes are just wow. I would not have expected that. I mean, let's face it, some of it is just wow. Oh, I would not expect much, considering some of the stuff is actually, I don't even know what to say about that. And considering that I'm actually thinking maybe this one should be B tier. Three pigs. I feel like this one is pretty funny considering it's a literal twist on the classic tale of three little piggies. Piggies. One piggy building out of hay, one out of sticks, and one out of bricks. Like, that's actually. And then there's a big bad wolf blowing down two of the three houses before finally giving up towards the end of the story. But I'm not gonna tell the whole thing because I'll actually leave that for you for later. So let's put this one in C tier. Animals, I feel like, is just, I don't know what to say about this minisode. It's just wow. Like, what am I supposed to be thinking with this episode, with this minisode? I'm not even sure if I would even enjoy this one. And considering it's just not exactly my type of style, hope for a Bluey Minisode, as I personally would prefer a lot of other minisodes. It's in my personal opinion. And so, I'm placing this one in B tier. Tattoo Shop, I feel like, is just, good grief. Well, like, why even watch this one? It's just ridiculous. Like this type of like the tattoo that you see on Bandit's back, it's just not exactly very cool, as that is more silly. Final answer is D tier. Phony, I feel like, is just a reference to a certain insult used against a person, which I think is pretty a bit silly for a minisode title. Well, no offense to Ludo Studios, but it just sounds a bit... To me, that sounds a lot like... It's not exactly like using the word Alexa or Siri. Which, final answer, let's put this one in E tier. Government. Now, this is a minisode that's hard to explain, as I think it's supposed to be a representation of how some have issues with things, and they tried to address to the government about it. But of course, the government takes its job serious. The government takes law seriously. It has business to deal with, which of course is true because governments are There's a couple of different governments. There's democracies and monarchies, which I feel like the government is pretty busy and does not have a lot of time for any shenanigans or antics, considering it is a serious biz type of job, and the fact that Bandit tries really hard to make it through reaching the government about his kids is just ridiculous. Final answer, C tier. I should point out that I put C tier because it's an average minisode and nothing against any governments whatsoever. Alright, now let's talk about blocks. This minisode is actually pretty funny, even though we actually do get confirmation about Bob Healer being an avid footy fan, which to me that's pretty crazy. I feel like that's just pretty intense, considering my dad I know my dad's an avid sports fan. And even though I personally dislike sports, arts in general, well, as I would now usually have, mostly because there's a bunch of, because all of the those who are gifted athletically are kind of a bit, are not exactly my type of person in retrospect. So let's put this one in B tier. Personally, I think drums is pretty amazing, as Aussie girl Margie has actually done a video explaining this minisode, which I personally feel like it's practically proven either that could possibly theorize that either Bingo is autistic or is a prodigy, which I think is pretty amazing for a Bluey Minisode. Which is why I'm gonna put this Minisode in A tier because it is that good. Brownie Bear. Now, this one I feel like is just amazing because I actually don't know what to say about this Minisode. Because, like, this Minisode is actually amazing. And considering we actually get to see Bingo as in her husband costume again, and after after waiting a while, well, since she did a makeshift stash with a French fry on her face, I think that was pretty funny, babe. Plus, this one is really amazing, which is why I'm gonna put this one in S tier. Whirlpool, I feel like, is not a very good minisode. Well, considering all it is just a bunch of splashing around in a kiddie pool. To me, to me, there's not much dialogue in this minisode, which I think is pretty atrocious. So let's put this one in E tier. I don't really have much to talk about with Strong Potion. All it is just a simple way of proving how Bandit commits to the bit in this minisode, and I feel like it's just not as good. Actually, it's not good in general. So let's put this one in D tier. Robo Bingo, in my opinion, is actually very funny. You considering that this one actually proves in some cases that a lot of this stuff is actually that a robot it requires a lot of specifics when it comes to being commanded. I mean, this one does not have any exceptions. It's just that funny. Like, this one is straight up A tier. Butlers, now that's a very funny, a very amazing minisode with a lot of with a with a very heavy cast of British actors and comedians, including Rob Beckett, Josh Widdicombe, just to name a couple. Well, and of course we actually see Jerry Lee return. But this time we actually see a bigger upgrade in the dream house, as there are 50 toilets in there instead of just 40. And Jenkins, the toilet butler, manages all of them, which of course, Paul Jenkins, always always in despair. That's a problem. Barnsley is the new butler and is in charge of the spa bath. So let's put this in S tier. It's just that good. Whereas Bingo is pretty nuts, I must admit. Like, this minisode, I feel like is just ridiculous. I'm not so sure what to expect with this one. Like, let's just say that this one is going straight into C tier. Goldilocks. Now this is another one, but I feel like this one wasn't exactly necessary. Because this minisode is actually not as good as the other minisodes is not as good as the ones that I've put in between S to C. Considering this minisode is just not as good as the ones that I've talked about, like Government. Like, that's a good minisode, and the Government in general is just amazing. All types of government, I feel like, are amazing, as I have mentioned before. I respect the government and as a citizen. And there's no question in my mind that the government plays a crucial role in our society. But this minisode, Goldilocks, I'm just not sure what to say about this one. But because it's just such a funny twist on the classic tale of the three bears, let's put it in B tier alongside. Now, this one I feel like is just amazing, considering that there's a lot of British references, including Harry Potter, or in Honey's room with the books, the poster, the broom, and the wand, and the owl fan toy, and of course, I think a pendant. There's also a lot of other British references, including the mailbox, which of course has 96, which is the exact age Queen Elizabeth was when she passed away. Hey, there's also Johann Sebastian Bach, a famous composer, and London Bridge is Falling Down, a classic tune. There's a, and of course there's also Honey playing soccer and Yorkshire pudding, which I think is very British. But of course, there's also some Australian stuff, like some Australian Easter eggs. Things like mini hockey, which was referenced in Duck Cake and Helicopter, and of course netball, which is a very popular game for girls in Australia, with Honey as the goal shooter. Overall, this half of the minisode is S tier.